All right, friends, welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator for leg 6 of our around the world journey in our fly-by-wire A320 aircraft. We are here at Keflavik Airport in Iceland, about 30 kilometers outside of Reykjavik. You can kind of see the city lights out in the distance if you look far enough. Oh yeah, probably out in that direction. Um, this is the Keflavik enhanced scenery available in the Flight Simulator store. It looks absolutely stunning, especially at night. I find a lot of the procedurally generated airports at night don't have this kind of lighting, and this is probably the first and last time we'll be able to enjoy this gorgeous Iceland air livery. We are in Iceland 9084 tonight. That is our call sign. And we are heading to Stornoway, Scotland. Roughly 2 hours of flight time. So that is the MO for this series. We are doing an around the world journey 2 hours at a time. And the reason why we're doing 2 hours at a time is because I have a job. I work in tech. I have kids, young kids. I don't get to do this very often, and when I do get to do it, it's usually late at night, and I can't really dedicate more than a couple of hours to any given flight. So that is a lovely forcing function to finding very interesting routes around the world. Let's do a quick overview of our flight today. So pretty straightforward over this last bit of the North Atlantic Ocean to Stornoway. But to quickly recap where we've been, we started our journey here in Newark, New Jersey. We flew up to Montreal and then La Grande Riviere Airport here in the northern area of Canada, and then we pushed even further north to Iqaluit in Nunavut, right here actually. And then from Nunavut we crossed over to Greenland, and then from Greenland to Reykjavik, and now we're completing our journey across the pond to Scotland, where we'll then continue into some pretty epic locations in Europe. And of course, if you all have recommendations for airports in Europe that you'd like this journey to travel to, I'm definitely open to suggestions. But I am definitely hoping to choose the most epic and hopefully some of the most challenging airport and approaches in Europe. What's also making this a challenging around the world journey is that I have to find these obscure airports to make these hops that have runways that are long enough for both a safe landing and a safe takeoff. So that really narrowed down our options for where we can go to get to where we are going. Once we're in the air, I'd like to learn about the places we are traveling to with you. So once we're in a nice stable cruise, I'll look up fun facts about Stornoway and share them with you. We'll also be using liveries from the departure airports where we're departing from. So since we're leaving from Iceland today, that is why we are in this beautiful Iceland Air livery. Alright, so with all that preamble out of the way, let's hop into the cockpit where we are currently cold and dark. And the goal of this series is also to emulate real procedures as closely as possible. So I have my printout checklist with me, and I'll walk you through as we go everything that I'm doing. And I don't know everything. I'm not a pilot myself, although I do aspire to be. So there's plenty for me to learn as well. I'm probably going to make mistakes. So if you notice anything that I'm doing incorrect, please feel free to leave feedback in the comments so I can improve. And hopefully you'll learn something as well, so you can improve too. So first things first, let's get some lights on in here. Let's activate our batteries. And we are connected to external power, so go ahead and activate that. Alright, before we go through our overhead flows, let's just get a few things organized. Vantage point looks good. I learned a very cool thing about these 3 dots today. They're actually eye alignment indicators. So the goal to know that you're in the right seat position is when this red dot completely obscures the furthest white dot. So if we were to set our viewpoint, we see I am in that position, which means I have a perfect 50-50 view of my instruments and the outside, which allows me to scan both with just my eyes without needing to move my head or neck up and down. Of course, in the flight sim, it doesn't quite capture the real life vantage point. Like, we definitely have more than 50% of our screen to the outside in this position, but a cool little fun fact about what these three dots actually mean if we're aligning your eyes. Alright, so the jetway is connected. We're connected to outside power. Let's go ahead and actually prepare for boarding. So let's go ahead and activate our APU. 1, 2, 3. And let's go ahead and actually get our nav and logo lights on and strobes to auto, just so folks outside know that we're here. And once that spools up and starts, we'll get the packs online, and then we can start boarding. I believe it's standard procedure now to activate the APU and turn on the packs, even when connected to external power, mostly I think for COVID reasons, to make sure the air conditioning units are running and recycling the air in the cabin. Let's get our flight pad up, and we'll start preparing for boarding and for loading our fuel from our operating flight plan. And while that's loading, we'll go ahead and do some of our overhead flows just to get some of the balls rolling. So we'll go ahead and turn on crew supply, turn on ground control, and we'll get those aiders aligned, because that may take some time, especially in the cold weather. We're going to leave our pumps offline because we're going to be doing some refueling. Let's turn on the instrument lights. Got the no smoking signs on, emergency lights armed. We'll leave seatbelt signs off for now because we still need to load the plane with fuel. That's a safety standard there. And we'll do our quick fire test to get those out of the way. Engine 1, Engine 2, and APU. And if we look at our ECAM, we should get fire messages on our ECAM as we're doing the test, which we did, which is great. And finally, we'll do our cargo fire test. Alright, let's see how our APU is doing. Alright, APU is looking like it's online. It's generating 0% power because I think we're still connected to external power. We'll go ahead and turn that bleed air on and turn our packs on. And packs 2. And we have bleed air pressure. Alright, so with that, let's go ahead and get folks boarded. Let's import our flight plan from SimBrief. And head to the box to get boarding started. Request 170 passengers tonight. Let's just make sure that conforms with our... Well, actually, I don't think it's going to be on the operating flight plan, the actual number of passengers, but we'll get our payload weight. So once folks are on board, we'll just compare the payload weight. We'll just assume the number of passengers is correct, since, yes, I don't believe that's actually specified on the OFP. Alright, so packs are running. Let's go ahead and start our boarding, because that will take some time. Great. And let's go ahead and look at our fuel and get our fuel on board. So tonight, on our operating flight plan, we are flying to Echo Golf Papa Oscar. And our alternate today is Echo India Delta Whiskey. And that is further south in the UK. So additional fuel for that alternate. Actually a significant amount, so an extra 2.2 tons. So they're going to be a little heavier for a 2-hour trip than maybe otherwise. But it looks like our block fuel is going to be about 75.93. I see some weather in the area on this weather map. But let's take a look at the weather on the OFP. Alright, so departure Keflavik, we have wind 330 degrees, 6 knots, Visibility is max. Few clouds at looks like 900 feet, scattered at 2,500, broken at 4,400. So pretty low-lying clouds, right around the freezing point. So we'll probably take off with anti-ice as we're making through those cloud layers. QNH 987. I'll go ahead and write this down as we go through it. So Q987. And looks like a little bit later expected light showers, rain, snow. But looks like we might be fine for now. At the destination, right now we're looking at wind 220 degrees, 7 knots. Visibility is max. Few clouds at 4,200. And again, also around the freezing point temperatures. And it looks like going into the future, they're also going to be expecting... No, actually... Yeah, oh, showers and rain. A temporary advisory, but I think... Depending on when we get there, let's see, right now it is Zulu time, 3:20. So yeah, so there's a possibility that we'll have showers and rain on our entry there. So with that in mind, you know, maybe we'll take an extra half kilo of fuel with us. So we'll do a block of 8,093. 8,093, and go ahead and start refueling. Take about 6 minutes there. Great. And we have our weather again, so ATIS QNH is 987 hectopascals, and yeah, wind 328 knots around freezing, so that all matches up. So now I think it's a good time to start going through our flows. So starting with the overhead. As we've already done, we extinguish the crew supply, white light, ground control set to on. Aiders are aligning. Exterior lights are set as required. Give me 1 second here. Okay, yep. I have a better checklist here for the overheads. Strobe lights set to auto, exterior lights or other exterior lights are off. Seatbelt signs will keep off for now. No smoking sign is on. Emergency exits armed. Probe window heat auto. Landing elevator auto. Pack flows are normal. Air conditioner temperature is set to pretty standard, right in the middle. So hydrogen panel, no white lights. Fuel panel, no white lights. Fuel pumps will turn on in a second. Did the fire tests. Audio switch is set to norm. Cargo fire test is done. Vent panel, there's no white lights. And maintenance panel looks good. So let's go ahead and check our sensor instrument panel here. There we go. Let's go ahead and set our QNH. What do we say it was? I wrote it down here. It was 987. So get that down to 987. And continue through our center panel. So the ISIS is set. That matches the right QNH. Clock is corrected as 3:23 Zulu time. Anti-skid is activated. ECAM recall. Alright, so no error messages from before coming up. Switching panel all set to normal. And let's see, let's check the door page. Oxygen pressure and quantity, perfect. Hydrogen page. We have hydraulics full. And finally, let's check the oil quantity on the engine page. And oil quantity looks good. And let's go ahead. These ECAM brightnesses look fine. That all looks good. Alright, let's go down the pedestal here. Yeah, we're set on Unicoms, that's all good. The audio panel looks fine. ATC is set to auto. We're going to squawk 7,000 since we're international. TCAS mode is on standby. We obtained our ATIS glare shield. So we'll go ahead and set our altitude. once we do our departure briefing. But for now, both flight directors are on. Arc mode, 10 miles visibility, turn on constraints. And otherwise, everything else looks fine for now. Alright, and yep, looks like cockpit preparation is done. So before we go to the box, and yeah, we're still loading up fuel, let's go ahead and review our charts for today's flight. Ooh, that's right. Let's go to night mode because we are doing a night flight. And starting with Keflavik, let's go ahead and get our airport chart. We don't need our parking stands because we know where we are. We're parking stand 4. And look at SID. So runway 10, does that make sense with the winds? Let's actually take a look at the airport chart. Go to runway options. Runway 10, and we have winds coming from where? I've already forgotten. -320 at 8 knots. Very mild crosswind if we take off from runway 10. But yeah, it's gonna hit cross from some direction no matter what, so I think that is fine. So we'll plan to take off from runway 10, and looking at the SIDs here, we're going direct to KF1. So let's see what SID is most appropriate. We're normally oh, interesting. This is apparently based on a real world routing, but it feels like, honestly, I think OSCU 1 Bravo might be the most appropriate SID for this route. So we might do a little amendment here. Because I'd rather not do like a double back direct. This seems just like a more efficient way to exit the airspace. So let's look at SIDs here. And what did we say? We said the OSCU 1 Bravo. Here we go, OSCU 1 Bravo. Let's take a closer look at this. So routing on 104 degrees track to K272 is 4.3 miles, and a turn right to KF221. So hopefully when we load the SID in the box, this will all be specified. But it looks like our initial climb out altitude is going to be 6,000 feet. So we'll go ahead and set that on our glare shield. So start with 6,000 feet. Great. And while we're here, if there are any VORs to be aware of, it looks like KFV will be useful because then we'll be able to track our distance to KF272. So we'll go ahead and put that in the box when we get there. I think that is good for now. So let's go ahead and brief our exit. So we are here at Terminal Apron at stand number 4. We are likely to take, well actually let's get a better taxiway map. So maybe we do need the parking stands map here. That's actually much better. So we're at stand 4, and we'll go ahead and access taxiway November 4 via November 13, and bang a left on Charlie 3. And then Charlie 3 intersect with Kilo 3, make a right, and go all the way down to Kilo 4, where we'll hold short and do our pre-flight checklists before taking the runway and taking off. We are on VATSIM tonight, but there is no air traffic control online, so we will be clearing ourselves. and just communicating on Unicom on the exit. If we encounter issues taxiing on the way to the runway, I will come to a complete stop, check the ECAMs, and contact the ATC. There is no ATC, so we'll go ahead and make the decision whether to continue or return to the gate. If on our takeoff run below 100 knots or below V1 we encounter any issues, I will make the call to come to a complete stop on the runway, and then we'll do our ECAM checks and then contact, again, there's no ATC, it's habit, and we'll make the call whether to return to the terminal or reattempt our takeoff. If we encounter an issue past the V1, we will commit to the takeoff. We will not take any action until we've climbed to 400 feet. And then we will, if there's an engine issue, we'll make sure to secure the engine and continue climbing to the engine out maximum altitude if we cannot secure the engine on the climb. And I think for this case, we're going to take a look at the approach chart for runway 10. So I think it's actually ILS-Z for Cat C. We'll confirm here real quick. Yeah, I think this is appropriate. So we'll follow the missed approach procedure if we have any issues on a takeoff and we have to commit to the takeoff. So we'll climb on track 104 degrees to 5 miles IKF, and then turn left onto 330 degrees, coming to 3000. And they say to expect vectoring, but since we don't have ATC, we'll probably vector ourselves. If we decide to come back to the airport, we'll follow this approach chart back. Otherwise, we'll make a call to continue and follow the flight plan as filed. So still working on that pre-flight briefing. There's definitely elements to improve for sure, but hopefully I got about 75% of that correct. But I think we're good for our departure charts. Alright, so we're actually done fueling, so before I forget, I'll go ahead and get those fuel pumps on. And get those seatbelt signs on. And now let's go to the box. Oh, actually, let's get some lights on before we go to the box. Alright. Still boarding, so we'll get our final center of gravity measurement in a little bit once that is done. Well, we're almost finished there. Actually, you know what? I will wait the extra 30 seconds to get these final 3 passengers on board, and then we'll record our 0 fuel weight center of gravity. And there we go. Boarding is complete. And we'll just compare our payloads and 0 fuel weight to the OFP. So 17,680, 0 fuel weight is 60,180. I think that looks right from memory, and our 0 fuel weight is 0 fuel weight center of gravity is 24.4. Quickly compare that to the OFP. So that's a payload is 17,680, 0 fuel weight is 60,180. That all tracks beautifully. So now we are free to do our full box setup. So let's start with the data tab here. Ours are all nav, they're all aligned, thank goodness. And LEAP engines and the current AirX cycle is loaded. So that looks good. Let's go to init here. Let's do our init request, get our data. So Keflavik to Stornoway, and our alternate is Echo India Delta Whiskey. We are ICE 9084 tonight, and cruise is flight level 370, and triple pause 25250. So 370 is correct. The triple is 2553. That's pretty close, but we'll go ahead and put in the one from the OFB there. Right, it's 2053, and it just rounds, no problem. Okay, let's go to our flight plan. So here we are doing something a little different. So we are going to depart from runway 10 via the Oscu 1 Bravo departure. And that's going to look a little funky initially. Oh yeah, there's KF272, that's perfect. It all looks great. And then there's this flight plan discontinuity, so we'll go ahead and clear that out. And it may not like this. Yeah, it gets all funky there because it's going to want us to double back. So we're going to delete this KF101. And we'll just go direct to Victor Mike. That looks a lot better, huh? Lovely, that's a great departure. And all the constraints are showing up. So I am happy with that, and we'll worry about our approach as we get closer. And let's go to our rad nav. So we have the ILS already pre-programmed because of our departure selection, which is great. Let's look at our charts again for ourselves what the VOR locally is. So KFV, we'll go ahead and throw that in there. Yep, that registered properly, and we'll turn that on, and we are getting a signal. Yes, 0.8 nautical miles. That is great. That is great. Alright, so RadNav is complete. Let's go back to init 2. Okay, so we're all loaded up. So zero fuel weight is 60.2, and center of gravity is 24.4. That looks great. No changes there. Block, we're going to put in 8.1 tons. And what's our headwind tonight, if we have any? Trip wind is a tailwind of 27. Unfortunate. So T27. And let's check our fuel quantities there. So taxi 230, trip 3.6. We won't be able to change that. Contingency is 0.6. Alternate is 2.2. So 0.6. And then 2.2. And then final reserve is we'll round that up to 0.1. Or 1 rather. And that leaves us with 26 minutes of extra time. So thankful for the extra 500 that we decided to bring with us today. Alright, that is complete. Final is performance, and I do want to see, you know, because I don't think, I'm going to assume the runway is not contaminated, so I'm going to do our performance calculation based on this little calculator I have that I'm going to do off screen, but we'll need our charts to reference to get these inputs right. So looking at this runway heading is 104. Elevation is it's pretty low. We'll call it an average of 140 feet. And the length in meters is 3,065. Nice and long. And wind, as we recall, was 320 degrees and nice and light 8 knots. Outside air temperature is 2 degrees Celsius. QNH is 987. Runway conditions we're going to say are dry, is the assumption. Takeoff weights based on the OFP is 67.5, so we'll just round to 68 tons. And thrust, we want to see if we can do a flex configuration. It will be 1. We'll turn our packs off. Anti-ice, we'll actually have it be on. And takeoff center of gravity is 24. So yeah, it looks like we can do a flex takeoff based on these calculations, which is great because that just saves our engine life. At least that's the theory. So we're going to do a Flex the temp here of 49 degrees. And do a flaps 1. And what's our THS? Based on 24 center of gravity. So that is, what do you say, like a 0.7 up? Yeah, let's call it 0.7 up. So we'll do flaps 1 and up 0.7. Oh, I know I did wrong. 0.7. What? Oh, wait. Ahaha. Do I actually have to spell up 0.7? Still mad at me? No, we're good. And these thrust reduction and acceleration speeds and engine acceleration, altitudes look fine. Oh, transition altitude. We didn't look at that on the chart. Let's see. Transition altitude. Oh, 7,000 feet. So that is actually correct as default. Interesting. Wonder if that was luck or not. So V speeds, this is calculating a bit low. So I'll actually do what the calculator tells me. It's 148, which feels a bit high, but we'll trust it. 150 is VR, and 151 is V2. Alright, so we'll be taking off pretty fast. That all looks good. So the box is all set. We're refueled. We're boarded. I think we are ready to do our before pushback checklist. So I'll go ahead and lock the doors. And our APU is running. APU bleed is on. External power we can go ahead and turn off. We're going to clear ourselves for pushback and start. ATC is set to auto. Windows and doors are closed. Slides are checked and armed. Clock is set. We'll go ahead and actually get the clock. We'll get the clock running. Great. So let's get the tug. And that should, yep, automatically call up the ground services. Get a quick external shot before we really get rolling out. Baggage is heading out. And our catering is leaving. This is fantastic. I love this sim. Is that door gonna close? Oh boy. Baggage guy. Or is there just a traffic jam? Is that what's going on? Yep, that was just a traffic jam. Let's get the cargo door closed, huh? Where's our doors? Alright, doors are secured. So let's go ahead, we'll release the parking brake and we'll push back. Let's take the external view so I can see where I'm going. We're getting clear of the terminal. Go ahead and turn the beacon on, so we're about to turn on our engines. And go ahead and set ignition. And go ahead and start engine 2. And I could track the yellow line there with those rear lights. It'll be a miracle if I get this straight. Oh, I'm not going to be that far off. Almost on the center line there. Come on. You know what? Close enough. So parking brake. Alright, engine 1 startup is complete. Engine 2 startup is complete. Engine 1. Alright, engine startup complete. Engine mode set to normal. Ground spoilers are armed. Rudder trim is set to 0. Flaps are set to 1 for takeoff. Pitch trim is set. Actually, it's not set. Let's set that pitch trim to, was it up 0.7? Somewhere around there. What does it actually say on the... 0.6. Close enough. Close enough. Go ahead. Oh yes, we can actually turn our APU bleed off and turn our APU master off. Taxi lights set to taxi. Since tonight we'll turn our runway turn-off lights on. Parking brake is set to off. Big brake pressure tests. Oh, now the pressure looks good. And we'll do our flight control test real quick. So we have full deflection left, neutral, full direction. Do full deflection right, neutral, pitch down, neutral, pitch up, neutral, rudder left, rudder neutral, rudder right, rudder neutral. Fantastic. These flight controls I'm using from Honeycomb are just absolutely fantastic. So actually, before we get taxiing, I think there is a new feature they put in the settings here where you can actually disconnect the wheel from the rudder. But they may not have released it yet. I'm not really seeing it here. No. So it might be a future release. 'Cause they did a video on it where they actually have more realistic nose wheel turning behavior on the runways. But I'm gonna have to investigate some of these settings later, because like dynamic registration decal, I don't know what happens if I set that to enabled. Did it actually do anything to that? No. It might be an exterior thing. Alright, well, I think we'll just double check that like the setting's not anywhere else. No, it would be in here. Alright. Continue with our taxi checklists, weather radar. I'm doing all this before I move because normally you would taxi as you're doing this, but since I am a single pilot, I don't want to accidentally run into anything. So TCAS will set now. So ATC will start squawking. Set the TCAS. And auto brake is set to max for an aborted takeoff if we need it. Oh yeah, well we'll ping the cabin when we get closer, and then we'll do our final takeoff config test. So great, we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and start our taxi. Enjoy some of this scenery on the way out. It's like a beautiful airport. Hoping we'll get some nice views of the city on the way out. And I don't know what they were talking about with that cloud cover. This sky looks gorgeous and clear. Be careful with our speed. Even at idle, we're picking up a light tap on the brakes there. We want to do our turn below 10 knots. You get a really nice view of the main terminal from here. That's very cool. And the further away we get from it, the more our frame rate's increasing. Let's do our cabin check.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
And takeoff config. All normal. Oh, am I on the right taxiway? Hold on. Was I not paying attention? Where are we? Damn it. I missed our turnoff. That's annoying. It looks like there's this like little road here, but I don't think it's meant for airplanes. So we'll just go ahead and do a pretty tight turn around here. Just pray there's nothing that our wings can clip on. I would have just lost my job at Iceland Air, I swear to God. Alright, well. This is why we sim, right? Safe space to make these mistakes. Also why there's a co-pilot. Alright. So now in real life, that sign coming up ahead, I would be able to see. But it just doesn't seem to get really clear until you get right on top of it. And even then, like, I don't even know what that says right now. N5 Charlie 3, yeah, so like, that's real bad. So if you guys know of any way to improve the clarity of those signs, I'd be very interested. I think it is a bit better during the day. Check that departure chart again in case there's any speed restrictions we need to be aware of. Didn't see any, but let's make this turn and then take another look. Oh wow. Feel the slope in the terrain on that one. Alright, now we should be a straight shot to the runway apron that we want. Alright, so there's that altitude restriction we've taken into account for. Yeah, I'm not seeing any speed restrictions. Now here's Kilo 4. And we'll go ahead short. Yeah, hold short here before taking the runway. I'm not sure if there's another hold short line the way this airport is configured. There must be. Yeah, let's do our run up a little bit closer. Yeah. That looks more like it. Okay, right at the threshold of runway 10. Let's go ahead and get our strobes on. We want our landing lights on. And our nose light to take off. All right. Keflavik traffic, Iceland 984, ready for takeoff, runway 10. We are on Unicom, right? Yeah, still on Unicom. Go ahead and get those packs off. For this flex takeoff. Oh, that's pretty. All right. So here we go. Thrust to 50%. Flex. SRS runway. Knots. V1, rotate. Positive climb, gear up. Lovely. Go ahead and fly it to that waypoint there. Acceleration speed, thrust climb. S speed, flaps retract. Ground spoilers disarmed. It's the longest I've ever hand flown out of a departure, and I'm really enjoying it. You know, following the flight director, it's relatively easy. But as I get closer to this initial climb at altitude, speed alt star, autopilot on, nav alt star, okay. And let's check our departure SID. I think there's step climb. So once we pass 221, we can go up to 7,000. And then 222, we can go up to 10,000. So 7, 10, 13 at each of the next waypoints. Actually, let's see if I put in 7 now and do managed. Kind of looked like it was going to follow the restriction, but I guess not. Because it's a ceiling, no greater than 7,000. Interesting. We'll try that again on the next one. If I try to go higher now. Oh, I think that's downtown Reykjavik there. Oh shit, I just maybe I accidentally went to the descent, which I think that's going to mess it up for the rest of the flight, unfortunately. Hopefully not. No, I don't want vertical speed, I want... I'm messing too much with the autopilot here. Alright, so let's just go up to 8,000. We'll go 10,000 now, that's the next restriction. Open climb. Still in descent mode, which is frustrating. Oh, PAX. Oh, those poor people in the back. Yeah, for this next waypoint, we'll go up to 13,000, and then we'll then clear ourselves to cruise. we'll say goodbye to Iceland. Up to 13,000. Okay, this is... Okay, there we go, the speed updated. Still showing descent in the box, but we are, the speeds are updating appropriately on the PFD there, so not too worried. I can't seem to go into managed altitude mode. I just want to double confirm that after this, yeah, no more restrictions. So once we cross this, then we'll go up to 37,000. Which I believe is our cruise today. 37,000. And that's the last of our constraints. So up to 37. There's vertical speed again. I definitely messed something up. This managed altitude doesn't seem to be a thing. Alright, well, yeah, as long as we're climbing. We'd use open climb now anyway, assuming that we're clear to that altitude. I think managed is if it's following the constraints, but I'm not sure if that system is fully fleshed out yet. But otherwise, everything looks good. Let's go ahead and see. Shear rate max is 1.3, so I think, you know, we're above 10,000 feet. We can get those seatbelt signs off now. This is going to be a very smooth flight if that is the max shear rate. Yeah, considering it's so dark, I'm getting some glare even from the lights here in my basement. So just for realism, I might just cut the lights. Oh, now I'm getting glare from my keyboard. Can I change the brightness? Yeah, there we go. That's better. Once we get up to our cruise, we'll then do our little research on where we're going. Check VATSIM just to make sure that we're still all alone out here. Yeah, it's a quiet night on VATSIM, it seems like. Yeah, there are not that many flights right now. Goodness gracious. Let's see if we can get any good exterior shots. Oh, landing lights. Goodness. Amateur hour and also the wheel lights are on. Probably getting all hot. Alright, now we're cleaned up. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll get any good screenshots tonight. It's going to be so dark. Maybe when we get to Stornoway if the lighting's nice, but we're going to be stuck with these night flights for just a little while longer as we continue making our way east. And doing these flights late at night on the east coast of the United States, so we're just moving in the direction of morning, but I think there's still a few more flights before we'll actually get there. Maybe over the holidays I can do a few daytime flights. Pitch black, these seem really dark. I'm sorry, really bright, rather. Not too dark. Actually, these, I believe we can save a frame or two by turning these off. Let's go ahead and do that. Those glass cockpit displays are a bit of a resource hog. Yeah, there's that ominous glow coming from the other side of the Earth there. I'm expecting that will disappear now that we're heading largely south. VM is coming up, so that is our last airport I think we'll see. Yeah, there it is. That's our last land-based waypoint before we head into the ocean towards Scotland. So let's just orient ourselves here. I want to make sure I know. Okay, so we are at, what's it, 4:17. So we have about an hour and a half to go. Maybe less once we get to cruising speed. I'm going to want to actually do our departure approach here early, because otherwise we're going to get to our decel point real fast, which is odd. I guess there's only those waypoints. These distances, are these? Hold on. Oh, no. Okay, we know we have 500 miles before the decel points. That actually makes a lot of sense. But no, let's go ahead. Let's at least figure out where what our likely approach is, and then we'll brief closer to the time. So according to our flight plan, we're looking at runway 36, and based on our weather report destination, wind coming out at 227 knots, pretty light. So I'm going to assume that is fine, because that will be somewhat of a headwind. Will it? No. Bit of a slight tailwind, but it's light enough that I'm not too concerned. So we'll go ahead and we'll stick with 3.6. And I don't believe we have a star already chosen for our flight plan here. No, it's just a direct to runway. So let's head to Navigraph and see if there's a star that makes sense. So So going to our destination airport. Oh, it might be a nice straight in, actually, the way the waypoints are going. How the approaches look. Yeah, maybe we just do straight in. I'm sorry, those approaches. So there actually are no stars at this airport. That makes sense. Alright, so let's go to the box. Let's get that in. Get it out of the way. Arrival. So do they have an ILS or just a localizer? Oh. No ILS here, so we'll do localizer runway 36. No star, no transitions. Alright, this extra EGPO we can get rid of. Get rid of that discontinuity. And let's just double check the plan to see if that makes sense. What the F is happening? Alright, let's track it waypoint by waypoint. So D1319R. There's our decel point. So it might just be wonky right now because of our speeds. We'll watch that though. But we should take a look at the charts to kind of get a sense for what our descent's going to look like. So, oh, there are stars. Oh, I see. The airline is Cal. Okay. Can be changed by editing flight. So the approach. Alright, interesting. So do any of these waypoints line up? Well, we're flying a DME arc according to this. It generally looks like we'll want to be at 1,800 feet before we get to the initial approach fix. So we intercept that at 1800. Let's see if this is any different. Okay. So we know we want to get down to 1800 by which point? FL36, but probably well before then. So should we make it easy on ourselves? Should we get to CL36? That's the that's that initial. Oh, FL36. So CL36 must be further out. Yeah. So by this D1781, let's get down to 1800 by then. So D1781, not in database. Did I get that right? Or is that I? 178I, yeah, it's 178I. Yep, this one looks like the correct one. That's our distance there, and we're almost at level cruise. Let's do our calculator over here. Top of descent, we're going to be at 37,000. I want to get down to 1,800. So 100. So let's call it 120 nautical miles. We'll start our descent. So go back here. Sorry, let's go back to our fixes. So D178I. And we want to do a radius of 120 nautical miles. And let's see. Maybe still too far away to see it, but we should get that. Yeah, there we go. We can see the radius there. So once we hit that threshold, that's when we can start our descent to 1,800 feet, roughly. There are really no clouds. Crazy. It does look like they got that they fixed that live weather bug. Well, let me just make sure I'm still on live weather. Yeah, I'm still on live weather. Great. Yeah, so it looks like they fixed it. There were some serious issues last week with the live weather. If you crossed somewhere above 20,000 feet, really caused some issues. Temperature would spike, and of course that implies the air is so thin that you'd lose all of your thrust to your engines, and you'd literally just fall out of the sky like a rock. Okay. We are at cruise, friends. Lovely. Let's Check when sunrise is at Stornoway today. (9 a.m.) And they're in Zulu time, so yeah, we're not going to see any sunshine today. It's crazy. I forget how far north they actually are. Alright, well, we got some time to kill. So let's go ahead and let's see what we can learn about Stornoway. So I always like to start with the airport, because sometimes these airports have really fun histories. So Stornoway Airport. It's 2 nautical miles east of the town of Stornoway, on the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. Airfield's been in operation since 1937 and was used mainly for military purposes at that time. The Royal Air Force had an air base there during the Second World War, and also from the early 70s, late 90s, when it was a NATO forward operating base. Let's see. Oh, excuse me. NATO aircraft used the airport for missions over the North Atlantic and for stopovers en route to Greenland and the U.S. Nowadays, the airfield is mainly used for domestic passenger services. The Royal Mail has a daily mail flight. Busiest routes between Glasgow and Stornoway. Not many folks at all, though. This is good. This is pretty remote. I think this is the last remote airport we're going to fly into for a while, because after this we're going to Heathrow just for the fun of it, and then we're basically going to major airports in Europe. Still debating whether we go to Stuttgart or Inverness. I think Inverness may be a more fun approach, especially if we can do it during the daytime. So that might be the deciding factor. Yeah, but that's pretty much it about Stornoway Airport. Some of the airports in Iceland and Greenland had more interesting histories. But let's look at the town of Stornoway itself. Main town in the Western Isles. The capital of Lewis and Harris in Scotland. The town's population is 5,000, making it the largest town in the Hebrides. Wow. And the 3rd largest island town in Scotland after Kirkwall. The civil parish of Stornoway, which includes various nearby villages, has a combined population of just over 10,000. So it's an important port and major town and administrative center for the Outer Hebrides Islands. The town was founded by the Vikings in the 9th century, with the Old Norse name Stornoway, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Summit grew up around a sheltered natural harbor. Looks like the island was privately held for centuries by various people. But the latest owner, in 1918, William Lever, the first Viscount of Leatherholm, held the island for a short time, but his economic plans for the island overstretched his finances, and faced with failure, he gave Stornoway Parish to the people of the town, and the Stornoway Trust was formed and continues to administer the parish for the people. It's one way to get independence. So during World War II, the aerodrome was used by the military in town, as we established. They were the base, a base for anti-submarine planes, and a fueling station for other aircraft. The castle at Stornoway was used as a hospital and living quarters for 700 Naval Air Squadron. Fishing is a huge part of their economy. I was hoping to see something about Scotch production. Well, weather is very consistent here, so even though it's extremely far north, winters are exceptionally mild, probably due to the Gulf Stream. But the nighttime low temperatures in the coldest months are about 36 degrees Fahrenheit. And the daytime high is about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Summers are relatively cool, thanks to the Atlantic Ocean. Average daytime temperatures in the height of summer are around 61 degrees. It's not that much of a swing. Precipitation falls mostly as rain, although some snow occasionally falls in winter. In October through January are the wettest months due to frequent and sometimes intense storms from the North Atlantic. And so far it looks like we're not going to experience any of those. Stornoway features heavily in the initial stages of the X-Men comics Dark Phoenix saga, due to its proximity to the fictional Muir Island. In 2007, the British car manufacturer Land Rover introduced Stornoway Grey as a color choice for its vehicle lineup. In response, Stornoway's councillor Angus Nicholson appealed to Land Rover to relabel the color as Silvery Stornoway, fearing that the association of grey with dull and boring would hurt the image of the town with tourists. Mr. Nicholson said this is deeply insulting and is offensive, inaccurate, and inherently degrading. This will hit tourism, and as it subliminally implants adverse connotations in the minds of those who have never experienced the reality of these beautiful islands. Land Rover replied that the color in question is one of the most popular ones, and the use of Stornoway in its name will instead, quote, keep it on the map. Ouch. Do a time check here. It looks like, yeah, we're going to get there a bit faster now that we're cruising speed, roughly 5:30, so another 45 minutes roughly until landing. Alright, so since we're about 40 minutes away from expected arrival, roughly, let's go ahead and do our approach. We'll complete our approach briefing. We'll go ahead and put the data into the McDo. So QNH is 987. Do temperatures and winds. We're looking at 2 degrees and 230 and 5. So 2 degrees and then 230 and 5 on the wind. And I think the Barrow minimum's 315 for this approach. And gonna pin that. Oh, sorry. We can't use radio. We need Barrow. So Barrow is 330. It's pretty close to sea level. Transition altitude, good question, is 3,000. Alright, that looks pretty good. So in about 120 miles, we'll begin our descent. Strange. It's going to a different weather area, maybe? We are still having issues with it. Oh yeah, let's get the rad nav ready to go. Alright, so we have ADF say plus the localizer. Not sure what is happening with the pressure there. But you know, we're going to be descending soon, so I'm not going to be too concerned about it. According to this, there's going to be some weather. Kind of scattered though. See how accurate that is. Definitely feels like that's getting brighter. Kind of feels like a sunrise that's never going to quite come. It's pretty deep, I know. Because, you know, this is leg 6, and I think this entire journey has been in the cover of night. Really looking forward to getting to the daylight parts of the world when we do these flights. Alright, about 40 miles from top of descent. Let's quickly make sure our descent preparation checklist is complete. So weather and landing information we've got, navigation charts are prepared. Landing performance check. Yes, I did that on the model I have here. FMS is prepared. Landing elevators checked. Auto brake is set to a medium. It's a bit of a shorter runway, so just to be safe. Did our approach briefing. And yeah, everything else looks... Anti-ice I think will be okay, but we'll watch the ECAM for that. And we'll be clearing ourselves down to 1800. Great, so we are just about ready to descend. Less than 20 miles. We've got 10 miles. 5 miles. Vertical speed mode. Let's go ahead and start pitching down 3 degrees. And we are descending. Set our altitude. To 1800. We have alt on standby. Great. See if that's changing how this plan looks at all. Still looks wonky, but again, I think as we slow down, we'll hit that decel point. Let's just make sure these orders are correct. D1319R, yeah, D101, D781. It's on the right order. I just think, yeah, I think the speed is just messing the vectoring up. So as we slow down, I'm sure that will change. Yeah, I mean, our ground speed is ridiculously fast. See some scattered clouds out there. Looks like we're kind of below that layer already. Hard to see what's below us though, of course. OFP didn't seem to indicate there was much at all. Once we get closer to 10,000 feet, I'll go to manage altitude mode. Give us an opportunity to slow down. Manage altitude mode. Start getting that speed down. Put those landing lights on. And seatbelt signs coming on. And get our landing system on. There's the coastline. Yeah, now our approach looks a lot more normal now that we've slowed down. Decel point looks good. So we'll cross that and we'll start configuring at that point. Sure we're still on Unicom. We are. Good. I had some frequency hotkeys assigned to my keyboard before that used to it really messed me up on radio communications. I'd accidentally transmit on different frequencies without realizing it. So VATSIM ATC did not really have fun with me on an especially bad night. I'd love to know what these red lights indicate. Do they actually represent waypoints, perhaps? But anyway, it's nice to be approaching civilization. I've been to Scotland once. I've never been to the Western Isles, but would love to go back. Looks like our airport over there. Starting to pick up the localizer.
$2,500.
Radio altimeter is alive. At this point, go back to get out of standard. There we go. That was weird. 9087. Wind turbines. Oh, maybe that's what they are. Oh, maybe they're wind farms. There's only one landing light on. Yep, that's funny. This last big turn, not last big turn, but this last big turn before the decel point. Oh, that's some haze we're going through, some cloud. Should be okay on the anti-ice. Alright, let's activate the approach phase now. I don't want to have to make that turn so sharp. So approaching green dot speed, speed check, flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 2. Gear. Ground spoilers armed. And speed check, flaps 3. Flaps full.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
It's doing this thing again. Just going directly to the approach fix. Don't want it to be so extreme. Star. Descent, final descent going. Stornoway traffic, Iceland 9084, 4-mile final to runway 36. That's a heavy crosswind. Yeah, so we're definitely crabbing. Accelerate that descent a little bit. I think I'm seeing 3 pappies there. That was real windy. Oh boy. I wasn't anticipating having to do a crosswind landing tonight. Oh wow, that wind really just dissipated. I don't know how accurate that is. Alright, I think I feel good about taking autopilot off.
500. 100 above. 400. Minimum.
Continue.
300. 200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard.
Oof. That was really hard. Sorry, everybody. Decel. 70 knots. Wow, that was really hard. Sorry, everybody. Oh, man. Definitely started the flare late. But, as always, we made it. Pappy lights were a nice help on a non-ILS approach. Haven't always had that on this journey. We'll go ahead and stop here and do our post-landing checklist. So, ground spoilers disarmed. Landing lights retract. Turn the radars off. And the wind shear system off. Engine mode set to normal. It already is. Flaps retract. TCAS to standby. ATC to standby. And get that APU started. 1, 2, 3, boom. Alright, so let's figure out where to park. Alright, so we're going to follow taxiway A. Stick to the sensor lines. That'll be fun. So round that corner and get to the main apron. Alright. Just be very aware of our surroundings. This is a narrow taxiway. Just to kind of get a sense. Yeah, I gotta be real careful. Stay nicely on the center lines. Start cleaning this up in the meantime. Hello, random car. I'm really glad Microsoft is smart enough not to register collisions with these things. This is where they say to be really careful about staying on those center lines. Here's the main apron. You get a little closer to the tower there. I'm not sure where's the best place to park. But you know what? I also don't want to like clip my wings. Yeah, we're on the main apron. So I'm just going to assume this is where we park. So we'll go ahead and turn in. Alright. Parking brake set. Engine 2, engine 1 cut off. Seatbelt sign off. Turn off lights. Those lights. fuel pumps off. And no external power, but I wonder if I can call those ground services. This never really works, but let's see. Oh, strobes. Oops. Turn that off at this point. Beacon's off because the engine's off. Alright, we're not going to get any external power, so we'll just assume that folks are deplaning. And we can go ahead and secure the aircraft. So parking brake is on. Go ahead and turn the aiders off. Get the exterior lights all off. APU bleed is off. And get all the lights off here. And I think that is all. Let's make sure everything on the pedestal is fine. Set to idle, engine mode norm, everything's retracted. Okay, so yeah, so I think I'll take this moment in this pitch blackness to sign off before I turn the APU off. And just thank you all again for joining me on this flight from Reykjavik to Stornoway. Next time we will be heading to London Heathrow, where hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of a live ATC through VATSIM and get into kind of the more exciting, more populous airports on our journey around the world. Thank you again, and have a pleasant evening.